several months, selections from the Don Bonser era coin collection have been offered at auction by Heritage, so let's take a look at a few of the highlights from these coins, shall we? An excellent place to start would be a double-struck Indian head penny from 1893. On this coin, the second strike was positioned around 90% off-center as to cause a significant deformation of the second impression to about the 10 o'clock position on the obverse and the corresponding 8 o'clock position on the reverse of the coin, the first strike being perfectly centered and immaculate otherwise. Graded as AU58 by PCGS, this coin was sold at auction for $960. The only non-US coin to feature on this list is a very unusual halfpenny from the reign of George II, dated 1733, and it was actually dated twice. You see, this coin, minted at the Royal Mint in London, is a flip-over double struck in collar, meaning that the coin was struck once, normally, and then it was flipped over, but remained inside the collar and then struck again, impressing the obverse as well as the reverse designs, including the date, on both sides of the coin at the same time. Graded by PCGS as G4, it sold at auction for $384. The collection of large cents has been called the purest form of American numismatics, and much effort has been given to the study of this particular series. So naturally, when an error coin is discovered, it is a cause of some considerable excitement amongst series specialists, even if it is a relatively simple but still extremely attractive off-center strike on an 1843 petite head, large letters, large cent coin. Graded in this case by PCGS as VF30, the copper rarity sold at auction for $2,160. Then we see a Roosevelt double dime error. Now this coin was struck on a silver dime planchet, placing it sometime before 1964, but unfortunately, the date was struck off planchet, so there's no way of knowing for sure. Despite the fact that the coin was double struck, the two strikes do not in any way overlap, and both strikes are around 90% off center, forming a pair of Mickey Mouse ears on the otherwisely completely blank and pristine planchet. NGC saw fit to give this error coin a grade of MS66, for which it returned a closing price at auction of $2,160. The next example is a more common date Morgan dollar instead, in the form of a 1921 D Morgan. But this coin is distinguished by the fact that it was the unfortunate, or well, perhaps very fortunate recipient of an uncentered broad-struck error, distinguishing it from the millions of other silver dollars that share its date and mint mark, when for some reason the collar failed to deploy when this coin was struck. Graded as AU50 by NGC, this coin fell under the auctioneer's gavel for $2,402.40. Proof error coins remain popular and usually demand a much higher premiums than the business strike counterparts. They are still proof coins after all, meaning they are rarer overall and possess natural eye appeal. So add to that then the wrong planchet error like the coin we see here, and then the sky is the veritable limit. This is a Jefferson nickel struck in a proof planchet intended for a Lincoln penny, resulting in a very eye-catching 1976S copper proof Jefferson nickel coin. Graded as proof 63 red ultra cameo by NGC, the coin sold at auction for $2,640. And then, just to prove that mint errors are absolutely by no means a modern problem, we present an 1829 capped bust dime, struck around 5% off center. It is clear from the condition of the coin that it was heavily circulated before a collector took it out of circulation. Probably sometime in the mid-1800s when coin collecting started to become more popular in the United States. Graded by NGC as VG Details, the coin sold at auction for the sum of $2,880. An attractive gold era coin is up for grabs next. Gold eras are exceedingly rare just to begin with. The reason is not very hard to explain either due to the sheer cost involved. Natural additional care is given in striking and inspecting gold coins, so fewer coins manage to escape the mint that way. This is a relatively simple struck-through error on a 1999 1-ounce gold eagle. Somehow, a long piece of plastic got jammed in between the gold blank and the die when the coin was being struck, leaving a diagonal strike or line or impression, as you like, on the obverse of the coin, almost obscuring the date in the process. Graded as MS67 by Anax, the coin sold at auction for $2,880. Another wrong planchet error is up next, but this time it is an Eisenhower dollar that is on display. Interestingly, struck on a planchet intended for a Filipino 1 peso coin instead. It does not appear to be a struck over variety, as none of the peso's details are visible on this particular specimen. The strange thing, though, is that although the 1974 1 peso for the Philippines was designed and struck at the US Mint, the coins were actually the product of the San Francisco Mint. But this coin clearly has a 1974 D. Ike from the Denver Mint. Wrong planchet, wrong mint. Well, NGC graded this coin as an MS65, and on its turn it sold at auction for $3,000. Now, this is a fantastic era coin. A 1983 Lincoln cent struck over a 1983 Philadelphia dime. What makes this unique is the fact that it is struck over, meaning that the dime was fully struck when then somehow it ended up in the penny press to be struck again. Most design elements from both coins are in fact still seen quite clearly, including the date and the original P mint mark for the dime. With a stellar grade of MS67 from NGC, the final price of auction of $3,120 was well deserved. And then something very similar to what we just saw. But this time, we have a 1973 S Lincoln cent that was struck onto a regular dime planchet instead. Now, this is something that could legitimately happen by accident, given the speed at which modern minting presses operate for business strike coins, and the fact that a dime planchet is so similar in size to a penny planchet. I mean, the color would make it stand out like a sore thumb, but given the fact that 317 million 1973 pennies were in fact minted, it is conceivable that this coin could have escaped detection. Graded as NGC MS63, this wrong planchet error sold at auction for $3,360. The last coin for now is a rather interesting one in its own right. It is a dual error coin. First off, we have a prominent clash die error with the outline of Jefferson's bust seen on the reverse and then traces of the Monticello building conversely seen on the obverse. The fact that this is a 1977 S proof coin makes it all the more desirable. Then the coin was also struck on a dime planchet, making the legend around the border run completely off the flan at times. The smaller size of the planchet also means that the collar die was basically useless in this case, causing the metal to flow and the coin to take on an irregular shape around the edges. Oh, and as if that wasn't quite enough, the NGC slab also has an error on it too. The label incorrectly describes the coin as a 50-cent piece instead of a 5-cent. I mean, you know, $half-dollar, nickel, basically the same thing, right? Graded as proof 67 Ultra Cameo, this nice little proof variety was sold at auction for $3,360. Remember to subscribe to WNN and activate notifications so you'll know when new videos are released. For the World Numismatic News, I am Numisman saying thank you ever so much for watching, stay safe, keep collecting, and have a fantastic day.